lot of you people won't know me, and a lot of you people most certainly wouldn't have heard of me. I'm not this big famous person. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. That is not who I am. However, I do have a lot of people on a day-to-day basis and sit there and they come to me and they ask, "Oh, Marley, I've got this problem, I've got this problem, this has happened, that has happened." And I would say that one of the biggest factors that I've come across in life would have been mental health. Now I know a lot of people do struggle with mental health. However, the main aspect of mental health is more or less how you perceive it. It's the way you can control it, and I suppose in accountability towards it, it's all how you manage it. You see, in life there is a lot of incompetent people. Now, when you hang around or associate yourself with incompetent people, how do you really think that one's going to go? Is it going to make your life better? Or is it going to make your life worse? And this is the part where a lot of people don't seem to understand. Now, in perspective's point of view, if you hang around with people who attempt or more or less try to make your life worse, it's never going to have a positive impact. It will always have a negative. Now, I have met a lot of incompetent people in my life, and in a nutshell, when I used to associate myself with those kind of people, it brought somewhat of a burden into my life. And I'll be honest with you, my life was bad. I have been through that whole mental health system. I have been through the pain, I have been through the hurt. However, the way that I perceive life now is a lot different to how I used to see it before. And I am going to adjust that camera because that camera is rather annoying. However, in life, you do get quite a few deceitful people. Now, if you in yourself have the potential to sit there and do well, those kind of people are not needed in order to add to the stress that you already have. If you have that mentality to sit there and say to somebody, "No, I cannot be associated with you, I am sorry, in the nicest way possible, I don't think this is going to work out, because this is going to have a negative impact on my life." And I'll be honest with you, I think this is definitely one of the biggest factors of mental health, and not a lot of people see it. I know quite a lot of people now, and most of the people who actually come to me and sit there and they say, "Look, I don't feel too happy. I don't know why I don't feel happy, but I don't feel happy. I don't feel myself." I say, "Okay, right, well, what have you done for yourself today?" They might sit there and say, "Oh, I hang around with this person, I hang around with that person." But "Oh, that's good." And how is that said person? "Oh, they're okay, but you know, they do this and they do that." No. That is your moral of the issue. That is the problem. The problem isn't necessarily you. If people were good and people didn't have that way of thinking, if people didn't have the intentions to make people's lives harder, that individual and their life would be far more superior than what it is now. But it's the unfortunate truth that a lot of people don't understand. Now, when it comes to mental health, what counts towards the most is how you manage it. And as hard as it is, and as hard as it is for some people to sit there and comprehend, that is one of the ways to manage it. It's who you associate with. It's not the main factor, but it can be accounted towards a very big factor of how you want your life to go and how you see your life in the future. If you want to have a good future, you want to have a good life, and you want to have a fast car, and you want to have a big house, or you want to have some kind of £40 million mansion, you're not going to get very far hanging around with people who are going to try and bring you down. And that is the sad truth. It's not nice. It's not nice to hear. It's not nice for me to sit there and say. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to sit here telling you all this. But I don't want to keep seeing people get hurt. That's not what I want. If you're around a load of people who will sit there and support you, that's when it comes into play. That's when things will start to get better. But if somebody keeps putting that stress and worry on you, life is never going to go the way that you plan life to go. And I can promise you that one now. In life, I would say that a lot of people need an ambition, they need a goal, something to work towards, something to focus on. When something goes wrong in your life, besides the whole concept of managing that stress or that worry, I would say having something to focus towards would be the best example of what I'm trying to inhabit. If you sit there and think, oh, this has gone wrong, I've hit a barrier, or I've hit a barrier reaching towards my goal, you will sit there and you'll think, there's two ways to go about this. I could sit there and I could be depressed and I can give up. Or the other option, the alternative option, would be to sit there and think, right, I've hit a barrier, this has gone wrong. How do I get over that barrier? And I can guarantee you now, once you have got over that barrier, now I reckon there could have been a better, more review word for that. But once you get over that barrier, it comes somewhat as an achievement. You feel proud about yourself. And then you think, right, I can do this. I can keep going. But if you sit there and you have that subconscious mindset to think that you can't do it, and you give up, you think that your life is like depressive. No. If you think that you're depressed, you are going to end up being depressed. If you try to inhabit yourself to believe that you are not depressed, and you ascend in life, that's when things will more or less go your way. There's no more upset, there's no more being hurt, because you have one goal and one goal only. Maybe the goal could be to have a family. People have to go through pain, trauma, suffering, hurt, just to reach that goal. And it happens, it's part of life. It's not somewhat of a conspiracy anymore. It happens. Because for you to actually understand other people's emotional needs, or the pain someone else is going towards, you yourself have to go through that pain and get over that tolerance for it. Because without getting over that tolerance, you're never going to be able to understand somebody else's level of mentality. It won't work. You will never ever be able to sit there and help somebody physically or mentally in that respect of helping somebody reach their own goals. It won't happen because you'll be sitting there too worried about trying to reach your own goals. Life has to be balanced, and if you don't balance life and you sit there and you only help other people but not help yourself, I think that is where a lot of people also go wrong. They focus too much on other people and they care for too much for other people. And yeah, it's a positive, it's a good thing. Keep that aspect of your life within you. But in reality, you also have to sit there and focus on yourself. Because if you don't sit there and focus on yourself, and you sit there and think, oh, this person needs me, that person needs me, If you haven't that capability to sit there and help yourself, how can you sit there and help other people? Unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. And boy do I wish it did. But no. Even I had to learn the hard way. I have had a life of suffering. I've had a life of hurt. I mean, of course I have. Everyone has. Everyone goes through something, even if it's small. Everyone goes through at least one traumatic experience in their life. And once you can see that traumatic experience isn't going to bother you anymore in life, that's when you know you've made it. It's not about having millions and millions, or a big flashy car, or loads of friends. No. It's an illusion. It's not what life is about. I would say life is more or less about, I suppose, helping each other in some respect. I do strongly agree with that. However, I suppose, in a way, you have to also help yourself. Because if you don't help yourself, like I said before, you'll never be able to help other people.